Should you take Social Security at 62 or wait until 70? Here's the truth. Almost everyone gets this question wrong because they're asking the wrong question entirely. The Social Security Administration used to have a break-even calculator built right into their own site. They removed it because a single crossover number can't capture a decision that actually involves your health, your marriage, your taxes, and your survivor benefits all at once. I'm Rich from Retire Smarter, and today I'm giving you 7 legitimate, defensible reasons to file at 62 instead of waiting, the reasons most advisors skip right past, and a few they'd rather you not think about too hard. But first, there's one concept that makes this entire decision click, and it's coming up right now. If this ends up being useful, hit subscribe anytime during the video. So, here's the one concept that makes this entire decision click. Think of your Social Security benefit like a battery that charges while it sits unused. The longer you leave it alone, the bigger the charge gets. File at 62, and you're running on a small battery, but you get to start using it right now. Wait until 70, and you're running on a much bigger battery, but only if you're still around to plug it in. Here's the part nobody says out loud. An uncollected battery doesn't roll over. If you die before collecting, the retirement checks you postponed aren't refunded, and that stored-up charge doesn't carry forward to anyone. If you're married, delaying may still increase the survivor benefit available to your spouse. But for you personally, the cost of waiting isn't always just patience. For some people, it means never getting to use the bigger battery at all. Let's build the real math before we get into the 7 reasons, because the math is where this decision actually lives. I want you to meet good old Walter. He worked for 35 years, and based on that earnings record, his estimated full retirement age benefit is $3,200 a month. Walter has 3 choices: file at 62 and collect about $2,240 a month, wait until his full retirement age of 67 and collect about $3,200 a month, or delay all the way to 70 and collect about $3,970 a month. The classic break-even approach asks a simple question: which choice puts more total dollars in your pocket by the time you die? Depending on which claiming ages you compare, the crossover point often lands somewhere between the late 70s and early 80s. But here's the detail many people overlook. Life expectancy at birth is the wrong number to use for this decision. Someone who has already reached 62 has a longer remaining life expectancy than that headline figure suggests. The exact estimate varies by sex, birth year, and health. Here's what that actually looks like with Walter's numbers. Filing at 62 means 5 years of Head Start payments before his wait until 67 version even begins collecting anything. Those 5 years of banked payments are enough that filing at 62 stays ahead in total lifetime money until Walter turns about 78 and a half. Only past that age does waiting until 67 pull ahead. Stack it against waiting until 70 instead, and the same logic applies, just with a bigger gap to make up: 8 years of Head Start payments instead of 5. That pushes the break-even point further out, to around 80 and a third. Before that age, filing at 62 wins. After it, waiting until 70 would have paid out more overall, if Walter's still around to see it. The comparison to age 70 works the same way, just bigger. Filing at 62 stays ahead in total money collected until Walter turns roughly 80. Only past that age does waiting until 70 pull ahead. If Walter dies before those crossover points, filing early produces more total benefits. If he lives beyond them, waiting produces more, and that advantage generally continues growing. The problem was never early versus late. The problem is that nobody knows their own expiration date, and the correct answer moves, depending on that one number you can't actually know in advance. Now stack one more thing on top: cost of living adjustments, or COLAs. COLAs generally increase Social Security benefits, whether you have already claimed or are still waiting. Because delaying produces a larger monthly benefit, future COLAs also produce larger dollar increases. That gives the person who waits more inflation-protected monthly income, but COLAs alone don't automatically determine which claiming age produces the greatest lifetime total. So which is actually right for you? That depends entirely on which of the following 7 situations describes your real life, not a spreadsheet's version of it. Reason number 1. Your health or your family history is genuinely bad. If longevity runs short in your family, or you've experienced a serious health event yourself, the break-even math may tilt toward filing early, especially if your doctors don't expect you to live beyond the crossover point. A bigger monthly check doesn't help you if you're not around long enough to collect much of it. Filing early is how you actually extract value from a system you spent decades paying into, instead of optimizing for a version of your future that may not arrive. Reason number 2, you want to enjoy retirement while you're still physically able to. Spending in retirement tends to follow a curve, high in the active go-go years, lower in the middle slow-go years, lowest in the final no-go years. $1 at 63 and $1 at 79 are not the same dollar because your ability to actually use it isn't the same. Delaying gratification only pays off if you're still capable of collecting on the delay. Money that shows up after your body can't use it isn't a math win. It's a timing loss dressed up as a bigger number. There's a version of this story that plays out constantly. Someone spends their whole career delaying every reward for someday, finally retires with more money than they expected, and spends the first couple of years of retirement in doctor's offices instead of on the trips they'd planned. The money showed up. The window to use it didn't. Reason number 3, filing unlocks your spouse's benefit. If your spouse has a limited earnings record, they may qualify for a spousal benefit worth up to half of your full retirement age benefit. In a current marriage, you generally must file before your spouse can collect on your record. However, claiming the spousal benefit before their full retirement age normally reduces it. If there's a large earnings gap in your household, delaying your own filing can mean quietly leaving years of real household income unclaimed on the table. Picture a couple sitting across from an advisor who tells the higher earner, "You should wait until 70. Nobody in that room mentions that the other spouse spent 20 years raising kids or running the household, has little to no work record of their own, and may have little or no retirement benefit of their own during that time. That household just left years of spousal income on the table because everyone was focused on optimizing one number instead of the whole picture. Reason number 4, your spouse is the higher earner and has a serious health condition. This is the most counterintuitive reason on this list, and arguably the strongest one. If your spouse passes before you, you may qualify for a higher survivor benefit, with the amount depending on your spouse's claiming history and your age when you begin receiving it. One possible strategy is to file for your own smaller benefit now, collect it while your spouse is alive, and later apply for the higher survivor benefit if you qualify. You're not gaming the system. You're simply not leaving years of your own benefit uncollected before a transition that was likely coming regardless. Reason number 5, the market just crashed. If you're pulling retirement income from an investment portfolio and the market drops 40 to 50%, think 2008 or the dot-com collapse, selling assets at a steep loss to cover living expenses can permanently damage your ability to recover because you're locking in losses right when you can least afford to. Turning on Social Security creates a guaranteed income floor, which may reduce the amount you need to withdraw from a damaged portfolio. That can help you avoid selling as many investments near the bottom and give your portfolio more time to recover. Reason number 6, taxes, specifically your provisional income. Depending on your combined income and filing status, up to 85% of your Social Security benefit may be included in your taxable income, and that doesn't mean it's taxed at an 85% rate, just that up to that portion becomes part of your taxable income calculation. But if you're in a genuinely low income stretch, perhaps between jobs, early in retirement, or before required minimum distributions, or RMDs begin, your Social Security benefits might be taxed lightly or not at all. Here's why the timing matters. Once RMDs begin, the IRS generally requires withdrawals from your traditional retirement accounts, whether you need the money or not, and those withdrawals increase your taxable income. For someone who's 62 in 2026, that RMD age under current law is generally 75. If your Social Security is already running by the time the flood hits, you've banked several years of comparatively low tax benefit income before your tax picture gets more crowded. Filing early in this specific case isn't really about the benefit at all. It's a tax sequencing decision. And finally, reason number 7. You need the money. This one deserves zero judgment. Medical bills happen, businesses fail, family members need support. Social Security exists as a foundational safety net, and using it when life actually requires it isn't a failure. It's exactly what the system was built for. One thing worth checking before you file on this basis, though. If you claim before full retirement age and continue working, Social Security may temporarily withhold part of your benefits once your earnings cross the annual limit. Before filing at 62 for this reason specifically, check how the retirement earnings test would affect you. Before we continue, let's circle back to reason 4, which was your spouse is the higher earner and has a serious health condition. Let's make this concrete because the math is easy to say and easy to misjudge in the moment. Meet sweet old Ruth. Ruth is 62, recently retired, and married to Walter, who's 65, has the stronger benefit and a serious heart condition, meaning that if he passes first, Ruth stands to inherit a survivor benefit larger than her own. Ruth's own benefit at 62 is $2,100 a month. If she waits until 67, it grows to about $2,900, an extra $800 a month, which sounds like the obvious right call on paper. Walter passes away at 69 when Ruth is 66. If Ruth had waited to file, she would have collected none of her own retirement benefit during those 4 years. By filing at 62 instead, she collected approximately $100,800 before Walter's death, and she can still apply for his higher survivor benefit now that he's gone, with the exact amount depending on his filing history and her age when she starts receiving it. Waiting would have meant giving up 4 years of real payments for an $800 a month increase she would never actually get to use. This is the part that trips people up. Ruth wasn't wrong to consider waiting. $800 extra a month is a real, legitimate number, and on paper, it looks like the disciplined choice. The mistake would have been treating that number as the whole decision, instead of asking the question underneath it, how long is this bigger number actually going to be mine to collect? Once you ask that second question, the math and the emotional decision point in the same direction. Now let me be clear. None of this means always file early. If you're in strong health, have solid savings outside of Social Security, and your spouse also has a strong benefit in their own right, waiting until 70 can genuinely produce a better lifetime outcome, especially if you live well beyond the break-even point. After full retirement age, delayed retirement credits generally increase your monthly benefit by 8% for each full year. You wait up to age 70. That isn't an investment return, but it does provide a larger, inflation-protected monthly benefit for the rest of your life. Ask yourself honestly whether any of the 7 reasons above actually apply to you. If you're healthy, your household doesn't need the spousal unlock, you're not worried about a market downturn, forcing asset sales, and your tax picture doesn't change the calculus, the honest answer is that delaying is probably your best move, even though it's the less exciting choice to make a video about. This isn't a list built to talk you into filing early. It's a list to make sure you're filing early for a real reason, not just because the number is available. One more thing worth knowing. Financial professionals are paid in different ways, and compensation can create incentives in either direction. That doesn't automatically make their advice wrong, but you should ask how they are paid and require any Social Security recommendation to be supported by your household's actual numbers. Thanks for watching this far. That tells me you're taking this decision seriously, which is exactly the right instinct. Here are the 3 things you should actually do with everything we just covered. First, run your own break-even numbers, then deliberately shift your life expectancy assumption up and down by 3 and 6 years. If your right answer flips easily under a small change, that tells you the decision is closer than it looks, and no single online calculator should be treated as the final word. It's a starting point, not a verdict. Second, if you're married, never look at this in isolation. Model your household's benefits together, spousal and survivor benefits included, because your filing decision directly changes what your spouse can access, sometimes years before either of you expects it to matter. A decision that looks optimal for one person in isolation can be the wrong call for the household as a whole. Third, revisit your plan whenever real life actually changes it. A market downturn, a genuinely low-income year, or a new health diagnosis in the family. Those moments, not the original plan you made years ago in calm, stable conditions, are exactly when it's worth reconsidering your filing age. A good plan isn't the one you never touch again. It's the one you're willing to revisit when the facts on the ground change. Put those 3 together, and here's the bottom line. The real question isn't simply, should I file early or wait? The better question is, which of these 7 situations is actually true for you right now? That's a question only you can answer, not a spreadsheet, and not an advisor who's never sat down and asked about your health, your marriage, or your family history in enough detail to actually know. If this helped you get closer to that answer, subscribe. Next week, I'm walking through exactly how spousal and survivor benefits get coordinated, step by step, so you can run your own household's numbers with confidence. Until then, I'm Rich from Retire Smarter. See you in the next one. Be blessed. Disclaimer. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and isn't financial, legal, or tax advice. Walter and Ruth are composite illustrations, not real people, and specific dollar figures are simplified examples, not personalized projections. Talk to a qualified professional about your own situation before making a filing decision.